Hello, students. Today, we are going to explore a very interesting topic in geography. We will be learning about the rivers of India and how they create something we call drainage systems. It's a journey that shapes the very land we live on.
I want you to think about something you must have seen many times. After a heavy rain, have you ever noticed how small streams of water form on the road? They flow, they join with other small streams, and then they disappear into a drain. Well, that little journey is exactly how our massive river systems work, just on a much, much bigger scale. So, here is our plan for today. First, we will understand the meaning of the word drainage. Then we will learn about two important ideas, basins and divides. After that, we will focus on India's two main groups of rivers and see how they are different. And at the end, we will quickly revise all the key terms you need to remember.
All right, so let's begin with the most fundamental question. What exactly do we mean by the term drainage?
It's actually very simple. In geography, when we say drainage, we are not talking about the pipes in our homes or cities. We are talking about the natural river system of an area. So drainage is just another way to describe the network of rivers that flow across a landscape.
So how does this river system actually form? Well, it happens in steps. First, many small streams, which we call tributaries, start flowing from different directions. Think of them as tiny branches. Then, these small streams come together and join to form one large main river. And finally, this main river carries all the water and drains it into a very large water body, like a sea or an ocean. This entire network, from the smallest stream to the main river, is what we call a river system.
Now, these river systems are not just random lines on a map. They are very organized, and their shape is decided by the land itself. For example, many rivers in our northern plains form a dendritic pattern, which looks very much like the branches of a tree. To understand this organization better, we need to learn about two things: drainage basins and water divides.
So what is a drainage basin? I want you to imagine a large bowl. If you pour water anywhere inside this bowl, where will it go? It will all flow down to the center, right? A drainage basin is exactly like that. It's an entire area of land where all the rainwater and streams flow towards one single river system. Okay, now imagine you have two of these bowls placed next to each other. The high rim that separates them is what we call a water divide. In the real world, a water divide is any high area of land, like a mountain or a hill. It acts as a barrier. So rain that falls on one side of the mountain will flow into one river system, and rain that falls on the other side will flow into a completely different one. We have a perfect example of this right here in India. The city of Ambala is situated on a very important water divide. Any rain that falls to the west of Ambala will eventually flow into the Indus River system. But any rain that falls just a little to the east of Ambala will flow into the Ganga River system. This shows how even a slight elevation in land can decide the path of huge rivers.
Now that we understand these basic concepts, let's look at India. The drainage systems in our country are controlled by its major physical features, like the Great Mountains in the north and the plateau in the south.
Just take a look at this map. You can see so many rivers all across the country. But if you look closely, you will see a pattern. A large number of these rivers start from the Himalayas in the north, and another group of rivers starts from the peninsular plateau in the south. This is the main way we classify them.
So, based on where they originate, we divide the rivers of India into two major groups. The first group is the Himalayan rivers, and the second group is the peninsular rivers. Now, because these two groups of rivers are born in very different landscapes, they are also very different from each other. They have their own unique characteristics. So let's compare them and understand what makes them so special. Let's talk about the Himalayan rivers first. Most of these rivers are perennial. This is a very important word. Perennial means they have water throughout the year. Now, why is that? It's because they get water from two sources. One is from the rain during the monsoon, and the other is from the melting snow and glaciers of the high Himalayan mountains.
Now let's look at the peninsular rivers. In contrast, these rivers are mostly seasonal. This means their flow depends mainly on rainfall. So during the monsoon season, they are full of water. But during the dry season, the amount of water reduces, and some of the smaller rivers might even dry up completely. They do not have melting snow to feed them.
This table shows the differences very clearly. For Himalayan rivers, the source is both rain and melted snow. For peninsular rivers, the source is mostly rainfall. Because of this, Himalayan rivers are perennial, meaning they flow all year. Peninsular rivers are seasonal. This also affects their length. Himalayan rivers travel a long way from the mountains to the sea, so they have very long courses. Peninsula rivers, on the other hand, are generally shorter and not as deep.
We have learned some very important concepts today. So, before we finish, let's do a quick revision of the key terms. This will help you remember them for your exams.
First, drainage. Remember, this simply means the river system of an area. It is a natural system, not a man-made one.
Second, drainage basin. This is the entire area of land where water collects for a single river system. It's important to remember that the basin is an area, not the length of the river itself.
Third, water divide. This is the highland, like a mountain or upland, that acts like a wall separating two different drainage basins.
Next, perennial river. A river is perennial if it flows throughout the year. Remember, the reason is that it gets water from two sources, rain and melting snow.
And finally, seasonal river. A seasonal river is one whose flow depends mostly on rainfall, so its water level can go up and down depending on the season.
I will leave you with a question to think about. We've learned that Himalayan rivers have very long courses, while peninsula rivers are shorter. Now that you know the basics of drainage, can you look at a map of India and think about why this is the case? What about the land makes their journeys so different? It's an excellent question to explore on your own. Thank you for joining me today.